Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit of how the bleach works with the ink. And I use the Waterman Intense Black ink, which has a great chromatography effect where it bleeds out from the dark blue here to the light blue, and then you get those undertones of the gray and the light golden brown. You can also see it in this one. I use this brush for stippling or splatter, which is just a inexpensive stiff bristle brush. I use this Tachikawa, if I pronounce it right, nib pen, and it takes, if I can get the nib out, they're slippery little devils. The struggle is always real. Anyway, but it holds a fine nib, and it will also hold the larger nibs. And then I use a liner brush, just a cheapie. This is a snap brush, which I actually enjoy because I do have good spring. Then I use this nib pen or dip pen. This holds only the bigger size. And you do have to be careful because the bleach, even though this was clean, it is corrosive. So I don't use expensive nibs. This is the bleach and water solution. This is about a 50-50 blend. I use a porcelain palette, and this is the inks that have dried. They can be reactivated. This was a wet on wet. This is wet on dry. This is the ink full strength. This shows you the different tonal ranges. This shows you that the ink can be reactivated and drawn out for more coloring. And then I'll show you wet on wet with the ink and the bleach as well. So first off, let me get my nib, and we'll dip it in the bleach solution. You should always have kitchen towel, paper towel, tissue handy. And I always wipe just a little bit off. And if you look real close, you can see the bleach. Might not be able to see it as well with this little guy. But you'll see how it lightens up. So that's with the nib pen. You can even use the nib pen in the opposite direction. For more scratching or that super fine line. And then with the liner brush, you see it bleed out, and then you can see, we'll test it over here in this, and you see it. And then when it comes to the stippling, which saturates your brush, knock off all the excess, and then I'm gonna blot it, and then you can also with the finer dip pen, Now let me show you what I'll wet with the bleach. So that's wet. I'm going to take the brush. Now I find the longer you let this sit, though, it loses some of that detail, so you can come back in with your kitchen roll and try to suck up some of that. Let's see, this one is dry. Let me show you, you can layer back on top after you've already applied the bleach. So if you make a mistake, it is doable to fix it. So the darker the pigment, the more golden. The lighter the pigment, the lighter the bleaching. And I do, if you want to make those fine hairs, just gently scratch it in to give those highlights after I'm done with my inking process and then painting. So I always do my line work first. Then I come in and paint with the ink, and then I'll come in with the nib pens, riggers, liners, script brushes, and then I'll go back in and add in more ink if need be, if I got an area too little light. But have a play with it, because you never know what to expect when you're using the bleach with the inks. And this does not work with all inks. You can check out Nick Stewart online. He has some great, he's already done all the work. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel. He'll show you a lot of the inks that do the chromatography effect and the bleed out. Like I said, I use the Waterman Intense Black ink. It happens to be my favorite. I have the Diamine Earl Grey. That has a great effect. I use Noodler's black ink as my permanent ink. This is what I do my line work with. However, you need to give this lots of time to dry, or you might get a little bit of bleed out. And if you do, it's okay, because it has the same golden hue as when you add the bleach. And then I have the Diamine Amazing Amethyst. That one bleeds out really pretty and reacts well with the bleach. And then sometimes I use my Sumi ink because it won't reactivate, but the bleach doesn't work on Sumi ink. At least for me, it doesn't. And you can do the same thing with different watercolors. You just have to play. Not all watercolor colors react with the bleach. They do not bleach out like this, but the bleach pushes that pigment away, acting as a resist. So I hope that helps.